Cartman's head in 5 minutes. New action script 3 version file. We're going to change this to 1024 pixels by 768, and frame rate needs to be 24. Okay, so now that we've gotten that, let's just drag this into the middle of the stage. Start with his head. Remember, his head is beige and has no stroke, so we have to turn that off right there. Now remember, if while going through this you miss anything, just hit the rewind button, because I'm going to be going through this really quickly, but you'll have all the time in the world to revise everything that I'm doing here and see all the tools that I'm selecting. So we have the head. Let's rename that, and now we're going to do the eyes. So there's a new layer for that as well. Lock the head to make sure we don't mess up anything. And remember, the eyes are really just two white ovals, so we're going to make our first eye like that, and we're going to use the free transform tool to rotate that, and then we're going to alt and drag to make a copy of it. Let's flip it horizontally so we can get the other eye in, and we're going to move that back into place and kind of position his two eyes to be in the middle of his face. Okay, great. Now that we got that, let's finish off by joining the pupils. Remember, the pupils are really just two black dots, so we've got one black dot there and another black dot there, and that's it. We've got pupils. Let's do his face. Remember, his face are really just lines that we're going to first start drawing across his face like that, and then we're going to use the move tool to kind of just angle those down and get a curve out of them. So we have two more lines to draw. Let's draw this one that represents his bottom lip, and we're going to do the same thing again, just kind of angle that down. And then lastly, we're going to do his top lip as well, just about that wide, and we're going to just angle that up. Okay, so there's his face. Let's lock that, and let's move on to his hat. So we're going to create a new hat layer. Remember, we're just going to be reusing the head layer as the basis for our hat layer, so we're going to copy that, paste it in place. Remember, paste it in place is Command Shift and V for Mac users and Control Shift V for Windows users. You remember that his cap is blue, so we're just going to select a blue color here. Now you know we don't need all of this. You only need about a third of it, so we're going to delete the other third by creating a rectangular selection over it and pressing the delete button. Once you've done that, then we're just going to drag the bottom of his cap up to make that kind of curved brim. Once you've got that curve, we need now to create the yellow brim for it as well. So we're going to select this shape, copy it, and paste it somewhere off the stage. We're going to change the color of that to yellow. Then we're going to move it up and kind of use it to cut out the brim shape that we need, which is about that. And we're going to kind of move this back into place like that. Okay, so we got the yellow brim, we have the blue hat, we just need to draw the poof at the top. We're going to use the pen tool for that, so we'll start with one point and just kind of work our way around. There we go, so we've got the top like that, and we're still going around. So come back down to the bottom, cutting the control points as we go along to make sure that we can have a nice curve to work with. Let's fill that in with yellow. Let's drag the yellow away from there so we just have the stroke left, and we can delete that. Then we're going to resize this because it's a little bit too big for his head. And finally we're going to just angle the bottom up so it can fit nice and snugly on the top of his cap. There you go. We have the poof as well. So we're finished with the hat. Let's start with the glasses. Now this is going to be really fun. The glasses layer, going to lock everything else underneath it. Let's turn off snapping for the time being because that can tend to interfere with what we're doing, especially when we're drawing with the pen tool. So we're going to turn off all this snapping stuff that we have going on in the view menu. Okay, all snapping off. We can now start the outline for our glasses. Remember, he's got some aviators on, so we just need to redraw that aviator shape. So we'll start something like this, and we've got a line going down like that. I'm gonna cut that as well, and we've got another curve going on here. close it up. Okay, that looks just about aviator-ish. Yep, so now all I have to do now is fill that in. Let's fill that in with a blue color. We're going to change that to a gradient when we're done, but for now we're just going to use this blue. Okay, so let's do the gradient. To do the gradient, I'm going to have to select the fill, and then you see the fill options in the bottom in the properties box here. We're going to click on that and select a linear fill. We can change these options now using the color palette, which is located over here. If you don't find the color palette on your version of Flash, you can get to it by going to Window and then Color. Okay, so we've got our color palette open. We can now change the colors that are used in the gradient. So we're going to double click on this slider right here, and we're going to change that to a nice light blue. Alright, and the final thing we need to do now is rotate this gradient. So there's a rotate gradient tool, or gradient transform tool, which is located right here. So we're just going to select that, and we're going to rotate it. Okay, and we're just going to shift that down a little bit. You'll notice also that you can change how far up the white appears in the gradient by moving the slider over. So let's do it about that. Great, so we have the sky that's reflected in the lens of the glasses. The final thing we need to draw in now is the mountain range. So let's do that. We're going to use our pen tool again, and we're going to zoom in so we can see what we're doing. I'm just going to start with one point here, and oops, just going to continue drawing in the points for mountain, and when we're done we're going to fill it in with a nice brown. Oops, let's escape out of that. Let's use this one. Okay, so we've got a brown here. The final thing we need to do now is just make a duplicate of this. So let's zoom back out. I'm going to copy that and alt and drag over to create a duplicate, and we're going to flip it horizontally, smooth that up to make sure it's nice and aligned. So now we have our two glasses. We can resize them now to make them look more like it actually belongs on his face. Okay, so now that we've got our glasses, we can finish them off by drawing on the handles using the line tool. That's one, that's two, and we draw the line in the middle here and connect the two frames, and then we can now zoom in on that and drag it up to curve it, and that's it, all done.